So now we come to the second side. So to do this, you have to take the end of your zip, turn it to the inside, fold under the section you've just done, and put both sides for the moment together of your sewing here. And then you take your second zipper side and you again grab the top, line up the marks you made here. Again, if you've got a fold line for your seam line, you can put your zipper tape along it, which of course I haven't got. Now, this is where it gets a bit awkward because it looks all very strange at the bottom, looks a bit twisted and so on. Don't worry about it, it'll sort itself. The main thing for you to do now is to do exactly the same as you did last time. You line up that line at the top with the top of the zipper tape, and you get it under your zip foot, same as you did last time, only this time you're putting it in the right hand groove on the foot. Lower your presser foot, make sure your tape is again going into there. Get hold of the zip, again line up the teeth with the stitching line of the bottom of your whatever you're sewing. This is just a test piece, and then do exactly the same as you did last time, supporting it a little bit with your hand as you go and making sure, this is the critical bit, that the teeth of the zipper are going to go through, as it were, where you've got your seam line. So here we go, everything's lined up, foot down over the top end of the tape, and off we go. The machine takes care of itself. You can focus on making sure the teeth at the bottom are in exactly the right place. You sew down your tape. The machine's doing a good job, looking after itself, and all you need to do now is to make sure you stop at your mark here. Another important thing is as well, if, as I'm doing, you're sewing with fabric that stretches a bit, just make sure you don't pull it too much, otherwise you could have problems. One side could be somehow pulled or stretched at the bottom. So now we take it out, and all looks rather strange, but you turn in both sides, turn the zip under, and from the inside you'll need to push up your zip tab. This is a bit of a fiddly job always. Get it through so that then you can pull it on the right side. It all feels a little strange at the start, but I can assure you, you can see my mark down here that I marked where I wanted to sew to, at least I hope you can. You can see the mark here, and then my zip went in smoothly all the way up. Once that's pressed, you've got a perfect, no ripples, hidden zip installed. Here's the tab, and I can assure you this method works on all fabrics. It can be easier than mine was. If you have a nice crisp line to guide you down your fabric, then there's no problem. You've still got, though, on the inside, this excess zipper tape. You should always have a bit of excess with these. You can't sew right to the end, otherwise it tends to be very messy. You have a couple of options here now. You can trim it if you like, or what happens in industry is you line your tape up exactly so that the teeth are exactly on your seam, and then you simply put a couple of stitches on either side along the tape and your seam allowance to hold it in place. There we are, something like that. Stops the zipper, I don't know, can you see this? Stops the zipper pulling up and pulling away. You do that on both sides. If you prefer, you can use your zigzag, or on some of these machines you have a buttonhole stitch. You can narrow it and just put yourself a couple of stitches in here. If you're using patterned material, it's often an easier way because the stitches will disappear into the pattern, as they did on some of the examples I photographed and showed you. But this is an easy way. As you see, I used a bright orange zip to demonstrate this, and there's now no signs of the zip because it is, as it should be, hidden. Try these out. Get yourself a couple of cheap zips and a few odd scraps, and try a couple before you actually put them into a garment. But I can assure you, this, once you've mastered how to do it, is really the neatest and I think the best way, particularly for lighter clothes, blouses and so on. Children's clothes too. I personally prefer concealed zips, and unless I'm using the zip as a feature in a garment, I do prefer these now to any other. Make sure though, when you buy a foot, if you haven't got one, get yourself a metal foot. I do also have a plastic foot, but I can assure you I prefer metal. The plastic one just doesn't seem to grip everything quite as well as this, as the metal ones do. So have fun then and get used to using this foot, because I'm sure it will become your go-to way of putting it in a zipper. And it's so easy. All you need is a good marking pen, one that you can see on the fabric you're using. I don't advise you to use a Sharpie as I did, because sometimes they make a mess. I'm covered in Sharpie, but it doesn't really matter what you use as a marker, because it will go in your seam line. The main thing is you can see your marks, because unless you get that top of the zip exactly lined up, you will make a mess and you'll have ripples somewhere lower down where you really don't want them. But this goes in perfectly using this method. I can assure you I've been using this method now for many years, and it's quick. You can even, if you're really in a hurry, put a pin across the top, although pins tend to fall out, get in the way. I prefer just to use a marker of some kind.